Hello, my name is Debbie Becker. I am a bird guide and naturalist for the New York Botanical Garden located in the Bronx. Today, I am bringing you an important segment on the relationship between plants and birds. A giant sunflower head produces enough sunflower seeds to keep the American goldfinch busy during the fall season. The goldfinch will sit on top of the head and gingerly pick out the seeds. Sunflowers come in a variety of species and can be found at the native plant garden at the New York Botanical Garden. An American goldfinch, dressed in its summer colors of gold and black, sits on the stem of a sunflower plant, anxiously awaiting its bountiful seeds. A goldfinch, in its autumn colors of drab olive green, is well camouflaged as it dines on the seeds from a withering plant. Butterfly weed is an important plant in the garden. It attracts butterflies and insects that also attract birds. In the fall, as it dies, it will feed the ground sparrows when it goes to seed. The coneflower, or echinacea, is a pretty plant that is used for medicinal purposes by humans. It is adored by goldfinch when it loses its leaves and its head becomes full of seeds. Foxtail and other grassland plants provide important nutrients for ground-dwelling sparrows. They can dine under the canopy of the tall grasses and hide from predators. Milkweed is an important plant for the monarch butterfly, as it lays its eggs on this plant and its caterpillars will eat the milkweed's leaves. It's noxious to most wildlife. It propagates by using the wind to carry its seed on a feather-like floater. When it lands on another patch of soil, another milkweed plant will grow. Queen Anne's lace is a fabled plant. It has a ruby in the middle, but in the fall, when it dies, it becomes food for the birds. Tall plants like sea oats offer protection for the birds and food for the sparrows. Pokeweed is an invasive plant and toxic to humans. Its dark purple berries attract catbirds, American robins, mockingbirds, vireos, tanagers, grosbeaks, and other migrating birds to eat its luscious purple berries. Pokeweed is invasive, and each berry, when it passes through a bird's stomach, becomes plop planted in another spot. Goldenrod makes a carpet of yellow that attracts insects that the birds can eat. In the fall, as it dies back, the birds can eat the seeds that fall to the ground. A female ruby-throated hummingbird sips nectar from a cardinal spike. Cardinal spikes grow in the garden and are usually located near a swampy area. Jewelweed is another plant that the hummingbird absolutely loves. Its dark orange blossoms act as a landing pad for the hummingbird's beak. The hummingbirds will have territorial fights over patches of jewelweed. Jewelweed can be used for medicinal purposes by humans, for poison ivy and stinging nettle bites. Rose-breasted grosbeaks also adore jewelweed. Their powerful jaws will crunch the flower as they eat it. Wild rye and other tall grasses produce seeds that the ground birds will feast on. One of the most popular plants in the forest, crabapple. The crabapple offers nutrients to cedar waxwings, which are beautiful birds that come in flocks of 30 or more. They make a very high-pitched sound, and they wear a black mask. Field sparrow with its white eye ring eyes a bunch of crab apples growing on a bush, but will wait till it falls to the ground to eat them. A chestnut-sided warbler hides beneath the leaves of a crab apple, eating the insects that the rotting fruit attracts. A black-throated blue warbler waits until the crab apple falls to the ground and ferments. It will take tiny pieces and become a little dizzy after eating the crab apple. New York state bird is the eastern bluebird. It too loves the crab apple. A female purple finch sits on a branch eating chokeberry. A very uncommon bird to the garden is the grasshopper sparrow, which finds seed nestled among pebbles on the ground. Another uncommon visitor is the Tennessee warbler, who's eating aphids off of this rose of Sharon. Porcelainberry is an invasive plant, but an attractive one for catbirds and hermit thrush. An American goldfinch wearing its summer colors sits on a stalk of mugwort. A tufted titmouse with a very large acorn will either try to swallow this whole or take it to a tree and peck on it until it falls into pieces before eating it. A female purple finch in a patch of smartweed eats each stalk like corn on the cob. An early frost on Twin Lakes captures every seed as it falls from the tree for this lucky American tree sparrow who has his choice. An extremely uncommon visitor to the New York area was an evening grosbeak in Riverside Park. The evening grosbeak sustained itself throughout the whole winter by eating crab apples, rose hips, and viburnum. A May bird, Baltimore oriole, has a beautiful sound it sings throughout the forest, and uses the plants such as the silver maple and the catkins to find insects. An extremely unusual relationship between a yellow-bellied sapsucker and a pine tree. The sapsucker will make circular holes around the pine tree and will visit each hole waiting for the sap to start dripping. When the sap starts to run, the sapsucker will lick it up with its long tongue. Some of the sap may escape and attract insects. When there's sap and insects, you can be sure other birds will show up. A black-throated blue warbler has found a sapsucker's hole. Inside, he sticks his beak and finds little black insects that are also eating the sap. You can see one sitting on his beak. A catbird on a sweet bay magnolia outside the native plant garden. These luscious fruits attract many birds, such as scarlet tanagers and rose-breasted grosbeaks and vireos. A field sparrow grabs a piece of blue stem grass. Looks like a mustache, but he too will move it through his beak like corn on the cob, stripping off the seeds. A pepper bush across from the native plant garden attracts cardinals. An indigo bunting is blue in the spring, but drab olive in the fall, eating mugwort as it goes back. Cape May warbler will find insects among pine trees. A bay-breasted warbler also finds insects and worms on the pine tree. A common yellow-throat warbler sits in a sea of aster. Meanwhile, our evening grosbeak continues eating crab apples to sustain itself through the hard New York winter. The beautiful prothonotary warbler visits the New York area in April and in September. Here he found a tree that has insects. You could see one in his beak. Plants and birds have a symbiotic relationship. During the fall season, the trees bear berries and nuts, and the birds come from all over to eat. The colors are beautiful, the trees are in color, the berries are colorful, and the symbiotic relationship between plants and birds is easily displayed.